Battlefield 2042 at this point should be a case study taught to everyone on how not to design a game and how not to keep players. It's almost, there comes a point where it's when somebody makes every single wrong decision possible, you have to wonder if it's being done deliberately. And the last patch is borderline offensive in just how lacking it actually is. And honestly, I don't know whether they've taken all their developers off this game and just written it off at this point, but it does seem like it, because I don't think there's any excuse for what they've done. But this is a game which died very, very quickly. It started with 100,000 players, and then by the 13th of December, about a month later, it had already lost 80% of its player base. They came back for a brief while on December the 18th, I assume it was a patch or something, and then very quickly dropped off, and now are all the way down to 2.2 thousand players. And this was a problem largely brought on by themselves. I remember in beta, I thought the game was actually in a much better state in beta. It had a far better movement system. And then they changed it in between beta and live gameplay because some people said, the movement's too fast, it's not Battlefield, and they slowed it down. And then released a load of maps that were far bigger, and so no one could traverse them because they slowed down the movement. There comes a point where even if people complain about an issue, you shouldn't change it if those people can't see the bigger picture or don't know the updates that are around the corner for which that is necessary. Of course, Battlefield didn't care anything about that, because they don't seem to know anything about what players actually want, because now they have released Update 3.3. It's going live across all platforms tomorrow, which was yesterday, and it's a zero downtime update, so you'll be good to jump in and play immediately. And why was it a zero-time update? Well, that's because it didn't actually change anything. No, the grand total of this update is you get a new scoreboard. Honestly, I wish I was joking. That's literally the update. What are you doing for a game which has lost 98% of its player base since launch? In 4 months, you give us the grand total of a scoreboard. When the problem is the maps. I couldn't write this. I really couldn't write this. It is incredibly easy to make a smaller map out of a bigger map because you just press delete on the area in the middle. I don't even care how janky it looks or anything else like that. Just take out the big empty space in between all of the bases and we're all good. But instead of that, we get a stat screen that not only should have been in launch, but also seems to be one of the biggest disasters to have actually come to gaming, which I can't be sure, but I think was at least popularized by Overwatch. The idea that we can remove toxicity from our games if only we actually remove information from them, only for them to be added in 4 months later as a feature. I'm sorry, but learning how many people I've killed compared to the next guy isn't a feature. It's a basic standard principle of gaming that we've had for literally decades. And you tend to find that things that have been around for decades shouldn't be changed because they were there for a reason. But don't worry, because if you weren't quite happy with the scoreboard after 4 months, including actually them delaying Season 1 because they couldn't make that because they were too busy making a scoreboard, then they've also given people over a certain price point some skins. That'll really win your players back, dude. And of course there's minor bug fixes, but there's this one which says, we've adjusted aim assist so that it now works at 100%. Apparently, the aim assist didn't work if you actually turned too quickly. So there's that update. I mean, honestly, I've heard of some issues, but not having aim assist work because somebody actually uses their controller to its entire range of movement is gonna be a new one to me. But what it all comes down to is that in 4 months, what we've gotten is a scoreboard. Now, I saw people at launch going, yeah, it got delayed a month. Maybe it needed 6. Well, if we get a scoreboard after 4 months, I don't know, maybe we needed 4 years. It's like, however slow they're actually working, whatever happened during the actual development cycle, clearly something horrendous has gone on, and whatever direction they're getting now is not the right stuff, because they're not focusing on the correct issues. And I think for me, the main issue is that the moment anyone played on those maps, they knew they were awful. But apparently no one in the game studio did. Everyone thought that those big, massive, open, boring maps with no cover on them at all was great level design. And that worries me. It worries me that, apparently, you think a scoreboard, and it's a good scoreboard, don't get me wrong, but you think that a scoreboard shouldn't be in the game at launch. That it is acceptable to add it as an update 4 months later. And it makes me worry that if this is all you can do in 4 months, that the development team is no longer there or has been moved on to different priorities. I think the initial message for Battlefield 2042 was awesome. I think the initial marketing was great. And then you ran out of content and it dropped off a cliff and it's never recovered. And the thing is, if this is the only thing that you can pump out in 4 months, then honestly, I don't really see how it ever can. Or at least, judging by how fast your players are dropping off, if you take another 2 years to actually come out with a map change that could actually improve your game, then no one is going to come back. I don't think this game's going to be a Rainbow Six Siege. This might just be the game that people return to in 3 years and go, oh, actually it's fixed now. Unfortunately, I can't fill a server. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, press subscribe. More videos like this in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.